Imagine this. You're walking through a field in a Japanese village. The cicadas are chirping. The sun is dipping toward the horizon. And then you see her. A woman. Very tall. Too tall, unnaturally stretched upward. She's wearing a long white dress, a wide-brimmed hat on her head, and thick black hair hangs from beneath it, completely covering her face. You can't see her eyes, but you can feel her watching you. And then you hear, puff, puff, puff. A hoarse, low, almost mechanical sound. Not a word, just something. She doesn't move, just stands there. But you know, this didn't happen by chance. That's Hachishaku-sama. That's her name. It literally means Eight-Shaku Woman, or roughly 2 meters tall. She's not human, not a ghost of the dead. She's something else, something ancient, something unknowable. She chooses a target, usually a child or a teenager. And from the moment you see her, she begins to follow you. Slowly, unhurried. Sometimes she appears far away. Sometimes you only hear her voice. Sometimes she speaks in the voice of your grandmother, or your mother, or your friend, just to make you open the door, turn around, step closer. And if you do, that's it. She takes you. They say in some villages, children still aren't allowed to wander alone. Not because of wolves, but because sometimes behind the houses people hear, puff, puff. Here's a chilling story. Started like any normal summer break. A teenage boy went to stay in the countryside with his grandparents. Quiet place, green fields, chirping cicadas. He spent his days walking around, filming nature with his camera. Everything was peaceful, until he saw something strange. A tall female figure near a shrine at the village edge. Very tall, too tall. At first, he thought it was a mannequin or someone on stilts. The figure was about 2 meters tall, in a white dress, wearing a wide-brimmed hat, and had long black hair hiding her face. But the weirdest part was the sound. She made a low, repetitive, almost mechanical noise. Puff, puff, puff. He didn't think much of it. But when he got home and told his grandmother, she went pale. Immediately, she called several people, shut all the windows, hung protective charms around the house, and made him promise not to look outside until morning. Later that evening, a Shinto priest came, an old man who knew ancient protective rituals. He told them that was Hachishaku-sama, a being that takes the form of a tall woman and hunts those who've seen her. Once you see her, the hunt has already begun. She can imitate familiar voices to trick you. But always, when she's near, you'll hear, puff, puff, puff. The ritual was performed. That night was long. The boy heard someone calling to him in his grandmother's voice, as if she were standing right outside the door. But his real grandmother was asleep on the floor next to him. By morning, all was silent. He was sent back to the city immediately. He never returned. Years passed. The boy grew up, went to university, left Japan to study abroad. Everything faded, or maybe he convinced himself it had all just been a scary story. A teenager's overactive imagination. The charms, the rituals, that puh, all just coincidence. But one night, in a foreign country, he woke to a strange sound. Tap, 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 like someone was tapping a finger on his window. On the 5th floor. He got up, looked out through the blinds. Nothing. He shrugged it off as the wind and went back to bed. But the next night, again. Tap, tap, tap. He looked. Still nothing. On the 3rd night, it was different. He wasn't asleep. He was working on his laptop, when behind him, he heard a low, raspy voice. Puff, puff, puff. He spun around. No one. His heart pounded. He called his grandmother. She didn't answer right away. But when she heard his voice, she started crying. Did you see her again? She asked. No, I just heard her. That's worse, she said. If she's not showing herself but only speaking, it means the protection is gone. He desperately tried to find a temple, a priest, any ritual. But this was Europe. No Shinto priests. Even the old charms in his suitcase were burned through, like something had scorched them from the inside. On the final night, he locked himself in his room. He drew a salt circle on the floor, played Buddhist chants, and sat trembling inside it. The clock ticked. The wind howled outside. And then, tap, tap, tap. But not on the window. On the door. His room door. He knew he shouldn't open it, no matter what he heard. Then, his mother's voice. "Sweetheart, are you there? It's okay. Please open the door." But his mother was on another continent. He didn't move. The voice kept pleading. "Please open up. You know me, sweetheart." And then, puff, puff, puff. The next morning, the neighbors found him, still alive. But his hair had turned completely white, eyes wide open, and he never spoke again. Only sometimes he whispered, "She knows where I am." They say, you can't encounter Hachishaku-sama twice. The first time is a warning, the second a sentence. And if you're reading or listening to this story too carefully, she might notice you too. Subscribe to the channel to hear more mythical tales.